Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. Hey, everyone. Hope that you all had a fantastic weekend. I hope that your Monday morning is going well so far. And for my part, well, I'm going to the mountains today. But before we do that, we're going to jump right into this article. It's a new article from ArtNet News, and the headline is, "It was a question of how far will they go." Former art students remember how Jeffrey Epstein tested their boundaries. And the author of the piece is Rachel Corbett. So this is going to go into the Maria Farmer story, folks. And that story, the whole entire situation with Maria Farmer, really bothers me. It really bothers me that Maria Farmer was ignored for so long. It really bothers me that nobody believed her. And it really, 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 really bothers me that nobody chased Jeffrey Epstein down when she first reported him. Now, if they would have went after Epstein after Maria Farmer first brought him to their attention, his reign of terror would have ended a long, long time ago, folks. But instead, they dismissed what she had to say, and they did not go after him. So we're going to jump into this article and see what this article has to say about it. And we'll go from there. So to the article we go. The summer of 1995 was poised to be a dream come true for one group of recent graduates from the New York Academy of Art. They were the select few who'd been chosen from their class to go on an all-expenses-paid trip to New Mexico to study under the prestigious painter Eric Fischl to attend the debut of the newly launched Site Santa Fe Biennial, and to meet with a wealthy benefactor who wanted to buy emerging artists' work. The patron was said to be building a vast mansion on his ranch in New Mexico, and, at the end of the trip, would commission one of the students to paint a mural at the completed house. There was a feeling that someone was going to come out of this an art star, Ursula Rudenberg, one of the alumni on the trip, told ArtNet News. There was just one problem. The patron was Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted sex offender and pedophile who died in a New York City jail in August. The encounter with Epstein on his ranch, detailed to ArtNet News by three of the alumni, one of whom spoke on the condition of anonymity, sheds fresh light on how Epstein exploited the ambitions of aspiring artists by promising sales and connections, all while testing their boundaries and ultimately allegedly assaulting one of them, Maria Farmer, Epstein's first accuser. And we understand what happened with Jeffrey Epstein. We understand what he did to Maria Farmer. It's not allegedly, in my opinion. I believe Maria Farmer's account. Maria Farmer is a very, very, very credible witness, a very credible person, a credible accuser, and somebody who has suffered greatly at the hands of these people. And I think it's good that this story is coming out again. I think that the more that this story is out there and the more people who understand what happened to Maria Farmer at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein, and not only at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein, folks, but at the hands of that animal, Eileen Maxwell, who is still roaming the streets. It is unconscionable to me that these girls like Maria Farmer suffered the way they did, and someone like Eileen Maxwell is still skulking about. Conflicting memories. Epstein had purchased the 10,000-acre Zorro Ranch on a mesa between Santa Fe and Albuquerque 2 years before the alumni trip. At the time the students arrived, he was in the process of building a Wild West-style village on the property, complete with a saloon and a general store. And we know that the Clintons as a family, according to several sources, visited that Wild West village. That's where they stayed when they went to the Zorro Ranch. And I've had that confirmed to me by not that the whole Clinton family stayed there. That was only by Jared Kellogg and his sources. But I had it confirmed to me personally that Bill Clinton did, in fact, visit the Zorro Ranch, even though he said he did not. This was where numerous women would later say that they were trafficked and raped, and where Epstein plotted to mass impregnate women and seed the human race with his DNA, according to the New York Times. But for now, his future mansion had yet to be built, and he was living in a temporary trailer on the land with his accused co-conspirator, Eileen Maxwell. The alumni say they were brought to the ranch by Eileen Guggenheim. And let me pause there, folks, all right? Eileen Guggenheim is definitely an antagonist in this whole thing. Eileen Guggenheim is not a good person, folks, and from the sources I've spoken to, she is basically an evil person. She is basically pimping these girls out is what she was trying to do. The dean of students at the New York Academy of Art, and now chair of its board, who was friendly with Epstein because he had been an Academy trustee for the past several years. When ArtNet News first reported Maria Farmer's account of how Guggenheim encouraged her relationship with Epstein, in part by bringing her to the ranch, Guggenheim responded that the story was a serious mischaracterization. I have never been at Mr. Epstein's home in Santa Fe. And that's a flat-out lie. That is a flat-out lie. My sources confirmed to me that she definitely has been there. So, however, earlier this month, a second alumni contacted ArtNet News to corroborate Farmer's story. There you go, folks. How about that, huh? Maria Farmer's story being corroborated by another alumni who was on the trip. So for everybody who was disparaging Maria Farmer and everybody that was trashing her name and talking trash about her, well, guess what? You're the idiot, okay? You're the moron. You're the enabler. Maria Farmer was telling the truth, folks, the whole entire time. All right? All you needed to do was read what she had to say, and you knew that this woman was definitely telling the truth. But yet, nobody stepped in to protect her. Nobody stepped in to be her voice. Nothing. Well, those days are over, folks, all right? That's what we're here for. We're going to make sure that these women, their stories are heard. And we're going to make sure that not only are they heard, but they're heard loud and clear, folks. However, earlier this month, a second alumna contacted ArtNet News to corroborate Farmer's story, saying that she too had been at the ranch that day and confirming that the meeting with Epstein, Guggenheim, and the students did indeed happen. Guggenheim's misrepresentation appears to aim at dismissing Farmer's concerns, but kind of raises new ones, she wrote. Yeah, no shit. So what she's trying to do is she's trying to say none of it ever happened. So basically, she's trying to dismiss Maria Farmer's story as a whole and say that none of that ever occurred. That she Guggenheim was never even on the property. But there are two other students who say that she's a liar. Okay, so now that's three people, two other people plus Maria Farmer saying that Guggenheim was there. A third former student confirmed that the trip with the New York Academy of Art students to Epstein's home occurred and that Guggenheim was present, but remembered few further details. Well, there you go. Few further details. But she remembers that Guggenheim was there. So there you go. That's three witnesses now. Three people putting Guggenheim there when Guggenheim says she was not there. There may be some confusion about my visit 25 years ago to Mr. Epstein's property, Guggenheim told ArtNet News when asked about the additional accounts. What I remember is visiting an old-fashioned western town that Mr. Epstein had apparently purchased and was under construction. To the best of my recollection, I did not visit any home there or have any meal there. So at first it was, I never visited there, and then it was, wait, I visited some western town. Again, another liar. Guggenheim, you're on the clock. You're a liar, and what you did, your part in what happened to Maria Farmer will not go unforgotten. It will not go unchallenged, and it certainly has not gone unnoticed. You are on the clock, Guggenheim. A day on the ranch. Both Farmer and Rudenberg say that they felt unsettled from the moment they arrived on the property. It was a huge, scary ranch on this big, ugly, dry desert, Farmer recalled in a recent conversation with ArtNet News. When Epstein gave them a tour of the grounds, he kept pointing out how many deadly rattlesnakes lived on the land. After they returned to the house, Maxwell instructed the students to put their coats in the closet. When they opened the door, they found a skeleton hanging inside. Why would they do that? See, the whole entire situation with Epstein and Maxwell is so weird. They were such weird people that it's not even funny, folks. These people were just odd, right? To go along with their sick and disgusting, disturbed behavior, they were just odd people. She was disappointed that we weren't frightened by that, Rutenberg said. She thought that we would be afraid of a skeleton, but as art students, all we did is look at skeletons. For the rest of the day, they proceeded to pull pranks on us all the time to make us feel unstable, Rudenberg recalled. And that seems like the kind of thing that they would want to do, right? The Epstein would want to keep them off of their toes, want to keep them guessing, don't want them to be too locked into what's going on, so that when he goes in for his, to make his move, they're a little bit off balanced. The odd stunts continued at supper when Epstein and Maxwell instructed their guests to close their eyes as they passed around a bag of unknown objects and to reach inside and guess what they were. One was what felt like packets of jelly. It turned out to be falsies, like you put it on your bra, Rudenberg said. Then they demanded that we put them on. Rudenberg refused and immediately felt shunned for not playing along. I knew the commission was out the window at that very moment, she said. I could see it was a question of how far will they go? Does this person have any boundaries? Boy, that's a good question, huh? And we all have found out, hindsight's 20/20, but we've all found out now that they have no boundaries, zero boundaries. They're basically Epstein and Maxwell aren't even human. The way most people feel about things and people have empathy for others, they don't have any of that. They have all of the character traits of psychopaths, folks. That's what they are. Basically, in my opinion, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were straight up psychopaths. It was the weirdest dinner party I've ever been to all my life, she added. I've been around a lot of rich people in New York, and many are misbehaved, but this was on another level. Farmer, who later went on to work for Epstein in New York, says that this was a party trick he often liked to play with sexual objects such as condoms. Maxwell's role was to normalize it, Farmer said. She had a lighthearted delivery, so you never felt like dun dun dun, you're going to get kidnapped and raped. You just thought they were quirky and they loved art. Again, folks, that was Maxwell's role in this. Maxwell was brought in because Jeffrey Epstein was a brute. None of these women would have ever felt comfortable just with Epstein around, right? None of them would have ever felt comfortable with just Epstein. So Ghislaine Maxwell was brought in not only as the brains of the operation, but to kind of calm feelings when the girls were around, right? Oh, well, Ghislaine Maxwell's here. Nothing's going to happen to us. There's another woman here. And then they get to know Maxwell and they get to understand that she's just as evil, just as devious as Jeffrey Epstein. But by that time, they're in their clutches. They're in their grips. Rudenberg says that Guggenheim and Maxwell treated her like a square after she declined to play along. The dinner party should not have happened. It was inappropriate. I feel like when you're in a position of responsibility to students and somebody acts the way that they did, that's cause to step back and assess whether this is a professional situation or not. And that definitely did not happen. Well, I agree there. I mean, look, I don't know much about the world of art, folks, all right? I don't know much about art. And I know that I do know that artists are quirky for the most part, but this is beyond the pale. The things that Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were up to is beyond the pale. I don't understand how anyone can just say, "Oh, that they're just quirky," because there's no way. There is so much below the surface. When you just dig just a little bit below the surface with Epstein and his disgusting friend Ghislaine Maxwell, you see right away how just gross they were and manipulative, and how they were always trying to manipulate the situation. Guggenheim says that she was not aware of any students taking issue with the encounter. Had any student expressed to me their personal discomfort over actions by Mr. Epstein, she told the Art News in an email, I would have immediately addressed the situation and offered my support. At that time, however, neither I nor anyone at the New York Art Academy had any knowledge of Mr. Epstein's predatory behavior. Epstein was first jailed for sex crimes in 2008. Dangling a plastic carrot. Epstein's promise to buy one of the students' work from their summer class in Santa Fe and then to commission them to create a mural was part of the conversation throughout the day, Rudenberg recalled. There was always the plastic carrot, Farmer said, but both women say that Epstein never bought their work after the trip. Farmer says that she gave Epstein the 2 paintings she made there at Guggenheim's urging, but was never paid for them. Guggenheim previously told ArtNet News that she has never forced an art sale by an Academy student. That's a lie. Guggenheim's a straight-up liar, folks. I'll say it. Like I said, she's definitely an evil part of this story. She knew Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell a lot better than she says, and I know that for a fact. After Farmer returned to New York, Epstein hired her as his art advisor, and she later traveled to Ohio to work on an art project at the estate of his friend Leslie Wexner, the billionaire businessman. That's where Farmer claims that Epstein and Maxwell sexually assaulted her. Around the same time, the pair allegedly invited Farmer's 16-year-old sister Annie to the New York ranch under the guise of a student trip. When she arrived, Annie said nobody was there except Epstein and Maxwell, who allegedly assaulted her too. Think about that, folks. Think about Maria Farmer. Think about what she must have went through. She gets brought there as an art student, right? She's thinking she has all these, pie in the sky dreams. And why wouldn't you? Your dean, Mrs. Guggenheim, sets you up with these supposed rich benefactors. You're an art student. You're looking to sell your art. This is a big deal for you, right? You jump at this opportunity. I know I would. Then you get there to Leslie Wexner's mansion, and things are different. And then you add to the fact that they abuse your little sister as well. And what you have here, folks, is a woman, Maria Farmer, who has been completely and utterly victimized by these sons of bitches, okay? And Ghislaine Maxwell, she's still out there. She needs to be held responsible for what she has done to Maria Farmer, Annie Farmer, and the rest of the girls, folks. All right? She needs to be taken into prison, and she needs to be punished. She needs to be put under the jail cell, in my opinion. Farmer says that Epstein and Maxwell threatened to ruin her career if she spoke out about what happened. Instead, she moved away from New York, and for a long time, she stopped painting. Rudenberg, too, says that although she didn't experience anything like what Farmer went through, the experience with Epstein soured her on the art world. I was so fed up with that whole scene, and Epstein was part of it, she said. I left New York. I just thought, I don't want to paint for these people. I stepped out of that whole world. And, we saw the same thing with Maria Farmer. Maria Farmer stopped painting for a very long time, folks. They took a big piece of her life from her. Imagine what you love to do the most. Imagine having that taken away from you as well as being physically assaulted by these two. Think about the hole in your life. And then think about what Maria Farmer has had to go through since she was the first one to come out and report this. Think about the burden placed squarely on her shoulders, folks. Think about what she has dealt with. Think about all the names she has been called. Think about the people not believing her. Think about the people that are still probably harassing her, right? Think about that for a minute and put yourself in her shoes if you can. And then understand how brave it was for her to come forward the way she did. And for the FBI, the New York Police Department, nobody to be able to help her, it breaks my heart, folks. It truly breaks my heart. And that is, one of the motivating factors for me doing this podcast. At first, it all started about corruption. And then I started reading the stories and learning who these ladies are. And, things fall into place for you then. And you start to, see things a little more clearly. These aren't just people who we're talking about in a news article. These are actual human beings, folks. These are people with hopes, dreams, aspirations. And all of it was crushed under the heel of this disgusting monster, Jeffrey Epstein. And now his co-conspirators are still walking the streets. Well, that's going to end in 2020, folks. This is the year. I truly believe that this is the year that we're going to turn the predator into the prey, and we're going to get some justice for Maria Farmer. We're going to get some justice for Annie Farmer, and we're going to get some justice for the rest of the girls who were involved in this whole entire disgusting spree of crime that Jeffrey Epstein was engaged in. And what it's going to take is more people like Ursula Rudenberg coming forward and corroborating these stories. Because these women who first came out, especially Maria Farmer, who was the first one to come out and tell people what Jeffrey Epstein was, especially people like her, they need to be held up as heroes in this case, folks, and they need to be talked about as such. And that is exactly what Maria Farmer is. She's a hero in this Jeffrey Epstein case. All right, everybody, if you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. If you would like to help support the podcast, you can do that by clicking on the GoFundMe link inside of the description box. All right, everybody, I will be back later on with some more updates and the same old, same old. I hope everybody has an amazing day, and I will talk to you all later on.